Pat McAfee Show. He claims that he has a Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow playoff stat comparison. That is absolutely insane. I will be the judge of that. Lock in, ladies and gentlemen. Get you a snack. Let's watch.
Okay.
Here we go.
This is Boston Connor's segment.
Whoa.
Wow,
Yeah.
This is Boston Connor's segment.
Thank you.
Boston Connor has brought this to my attention numerous times. Have you seen the graphic? No. You haven't seen the graphic?
I have not. No.
I'll send you the graphic. Sends me the graphic. I don't open it within the first 15, 20 minutes. He goes, that graphic's crazy. I'm like, haven't seen the graphic. Still, I apologize. I'll look at the graphic. He basically tells me he doesn't understand how I haven't seen the graphic, how my algorithm hasn't forced it into my eyes, and that the fact that I didn't look at his message to open the graphic, I was disrespecting stats from the NFL as a whole. He said, look at the graphic. So literally in front of me, I have to pull out my phone, I open the graphic, I look at it. And I go, God damn.
Yeah. Trash.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Here it is. All right, here's the graphic. Let's see it. Playoff choker, a.k.a. Kirk Cousins. Joe Burrow. So those are playoff numbers. All right. So Cousins has better touchdowns per game, less turnovers per game, better passer rating, about the same yards per game, about the same points per game, way worse as far as the points allowed, which obviously neither one of these guys have any impact on. 0 defensive turnovers forced. Again, that's just a defensive stat. 0 to 13. Look, it is interesting when you. This is a tough one, okay? Because 90% of the time I lean on statistics. I lean on what's actually happening. We talk about it all the time on this channel. People think blank defense is good. You go into the analytics. Oops, they're not good, or they're not as good as you thought. Same with quarterbacks. Same with all kind of stuff. We talk about the misconceptions of certain players. Like Kyler Murray is a good example that people think he's a deep thrower. The analytics actually show he's one of the the yardage per attempt is one of the shortest in the NFL. No pun intended. With that being said, this is one of those things where when you shorten the volume, so it's not showing how many games, but it can't be that many games. When you shorten the volume, especially a playoff game, playoff games are a little bit different because same with basketball. In the playoffs, like the fourth quarter, possessions, all of that is hyper intense. So, for example, in the playoffs, if a team is down 21, they are doing everything they can to get back as quick as they can because their season's on the line. In the regular season, if a team is down 21, it might not be the same. Okay. Flip side, if a team is up 21 in the playoffs, they are trying to kill clock. They are trying to win the game. They're doing everything they can to win that game. Regular season, they might just keep rolling. They might just keep rolling along. So playoffs do have a different game script, which I think some of this stuff explains itself. So it would explain itself that obviously the points per game allowed and the 0 defensive turnovers forced, that has nothing to do with Kirk Cousins or Joe Burrow, but it tells you about the game. So it tells you that the Bengals are probably ahead in these games. The Vikings are probably losing. Okay. It tells you a little bit about the script. Now, obviously, we know anyways that the Vikings don't have the playoff success of the Bengals. To say that Cousins is a choke artist strictly off these stats is tough. But I think if you throw in the fact that, let's say he has a half turnover per game, but let's say that half turnover is always coming in the last 2 minutes, is always coming when the game is tied, is always coming that matters in the playoffs. That matters. If that 1.4 touchdowns per game from Joe Burrow is in a game-winning drive, and that 1.75 touchdowns per game for Kirk Cousins is to shorten the deficit from 21 to 14, that matters. Those kind of things matter in those hyper-compressed, hyper-intense moments. So as much as I love on just leaning on stats, it's hard to do it with a quarterback in the playoffs. This is kind of surprising, though, how good seemingly Cousins has been.
That is a crazy, crazy graphic. Now, we all know Kirk Cousins is the quarterback dandy from everybody right now.
Yeah.
Everybody loves him from the show Quarterback.
Yes.
He's the most relatable human, I think, to anybody that has not played football, that has ever played in the NFL and has been good in football. And I think a lot of people were wondering, how come this guy that we beloved after we got to learn a little bit more from a behind-the-scenes documentary on Netflix, why does he have this title of this guy that can't perform in a big game? And Kirk in there was like, I think I played pretty good in this.
I got a lot of game balls.
I think I game every single one we have. I'm sorry. I mean, I guess we don't win them, but it's because primetime games we're playing against good teams.
Again, I'll reiterate this. If the Vikings lose 28-31 in the playoffs, and Cousins throws 3 touchdowns and 1 pick, that's pretty damn good. But if that 1 pick comes at the very end of the game when they're on the 7-yard line to tie it up or to win, that matters. And that certainly will label you a playoff choker. Now, I'm not sure that's happened in all these instances, but when you take the game out and just put the numbers in, like if I told you exactly what I just said, if he had 255 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, that'd be a pretty damn good passer rating. That'd be a pretty damn good stat line. If the score, like I said, if he throws a pick with a minute left and his team's down 3 and he's in the red zone, I would say he choked. I would have no trouble saying that he choked in that moment. If on the flip side, if Joe Burrow had 260 yards passing, he had 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, but he led his team on a game-winning 2-minute drive for that second touchdown, yeah, it's a worse game. But I would say he had the moxie or the whatever it takes to deliver in that big moment. And in the playoffs, that certainly matters. And I think that's what's happened to Kirk Cousins a lot in his career.
You start looking into his stats, and I love Joe Burrow. Hey, I love Joe Burrow.
You do.
This is not a knock on Joe Burrow.
No.
This is hey, this guy is known to be a fucking killer in big moments. That is what he is. He is a stone cold killer in big moments. They even have that video of him in the snow.
Oh, yeah, turning around.
It's like, this is the coldest motherfucker in the league. That's what, you know. And then Patrick Mahomes obviously is like, everybody.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Let's cool it down a little bit.
That's right.
But this Kirk Cousins guy, that's the nerd who can't win the big one. And then all of a sudden, you start looking at these stats, somebody puts it on the internet, Clutch Points does, and it's like, yo,
Bullshit.
What?
Bullshit.
You think they're
All right, see, Pac-Man, I think Pac-Man is going to kind of lay my argument out there. Where, yeah, if you just look at this, sure. But it matters in the moment in these games.
making up stats?
Man, listen, are we going to really compare Joe to Kirk?
No, I don't think that's what first of all, that's not what they're doing. That's a very simple way of looking at this. It's strictly showing how a narrative can be built around one player versus another player. I don't think anyone's comparing Joe Burrow and Kirk Cousins, but I think you can compare the narrative where this guy is the coldest, the iciest, the winningest, the moxiest, the Riz god, and this other guy is supposoply crumbles in these moments. But if you look at the stats, might not be the case.
That is what we are not.
If you own the team, which one you want?
No, I first and foremost, if Joe Burrow's better than Kirk.
Can we compare them too?
Yeah, we are right now.
Right now.
Pac-Man. Look at the numbers, Pac.
Look at the numbers.
Don't look at me. Look at the numbers,
This is
buddy.
why I saw the graphic and I didn't send it in because that would have been, you're a Steelers fan, you're biased, and I'm so glad that you sent it in because he's an unbiased third party and Joe
Where
doesn't
Kirk
have
them
it.
been? Where Kirk them been?
I can't say
Have
this.
they, how many playoff games they don't won?
No, but that.
See, the Pac-Man is fun. It is funny how sports debates can kind of be like this, where Pac-Man is falling into the trap of the whole point of the graphic, right? Like how many games they won. That's what they're saying. That's what they're showing by the defensive turnovers force and the points per game allowed. Is that they have lost these games, but is it Kirk's fault or is it the defensive performance's fault? Like you can't just throw he's 0-4 and he's 4-3. You can't. It's not that simple. Now I showed the other side where you can look at the offensive side of a interception at a certain time. Another reason I always say turnovers are random is that, for example, if I'm just going to make some stuff up here, but if Joe Burrow throws a Hail Mary to end the half and it gets picked off, that doesn't matter. You know, like that interception doesn't matter as much as a red zone interception, correct? All turnovers are not created equally. We see it all the time where a player will, you know, again, throwing a Hail Mary will throw an interception. That's totally different thing. You know, same with an incompletion. If a Hail Mary counts as an incompletion, that is different than missing a wide open receiver. So statistics do have, like, not all of it is equal. It can get incredibly granular.
Where they been?
That's what we're saying.
Batted passes or tip passes. Another interception stat I think should be separate. If Kirk Cousins throws a pass that hits a receiver in the hands and the ball and the ball goes up and gets picked off, is that the same as an interception where Kirk Cousins throws it into the chest of a defender? I would say no. I would say those two interceptions are very different. Should one even count as an interception? You know, if he did his job of throwing it into the receiver's hands and the receiver bobbled it or dropped it or whatever, and it gets picked, that doesn't show up on the receivers. Like, no, there's not even a stat for that, you know, but it shows up as Kirk Cousins interceptions. So it is, when you do this, you can go a bunch of different ways breaking down stats.
Saying that's
You're helping the graphic.
Yes, you're helping the graphic.
So what this graphic is saying, like, hey, you see that one? 28 points per game allowed.
Yeah.
Damn it,
Kirk.
Yeah.
That's kind
That's
of what people are saying.
Yeah.
People are saying, like, Kirk continues to get ragged on whenever his team potentially doesn't show
Some
up.
people were saying that the Bengals defense scored a 98-yard touchdown when the Ravens were on the goal line last year in the first round of the playoffs.
Who's saying?
Yeah, the Ravens should have won that game. The Ravens should have won that game for sure. If it wasn't for that, and I had the Bengals in that game. I remember the game very well. If it wasn't for that, I mean, the Ravens probably went. And that was a crazy. The guy, I think he was from Cincinnati. 'Cause I remember the story or whatever. But he forced the fumble, returned it 98 yards, and that was the game.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see anybody say
Well,
that.
it happened. I saw it with my
That
own
happened.
eyes.
Oh, you said that.
It
What?
did happen though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But that's what, and no one
It's
on
not
this
a good
stage.
show, bro.
No one on this stage. I don't think I won't speak for anyone else. I think we all would take Joe Burrow over Kirk Cousins. I'm
For
not
sure.
saying
Yeah.
that Kirk Cousins is better than Joe Burrow.
Well,
I'm so saying.
I'm
Take
only doing
these
it-
numbers and put that shit in the trash.
But hey, look, I didn't make the numbers. I didn't write the numbers. I mean, Pac-Man, what you see is it's the truth. And
Sometimes
absolutely,
number
Burrow steps up in big moments. It's just from this you can clearly see Joe Burrow, and we love Lou Anarumo. Just Joe Burrow has had more help in his entire time with the
That's
Bengals.
what that is.
I think in generally in sports, there's, when it comes to winning at the super high level, like a Super Bowl, playoffs, even other sports, finals, World Series, whatever, the amount of variables that go into a game, just like what they were talking about, the 98-yard fumble return, like, that's something that Joe Burrow had no control over, but his legacy benefits from. LeBron James passes the ball to Ray Allen, or Chris Bosh passes it to Ray Allen. Ray Allen hits the three. That's what LeBron James ends up becoming, a LeBron James finals win, a championship over the Spurs. But if he misses that shot, that doesn't happen. If Chris Bosh doesn't get that rebound, it doesn't happen. LeBron James had no control over those two small moments in history, but now he reaps the rewards of that. So that happens in all these games. I mean, that happens in every football game and every Super Bowl. Wild things happen outside of like a quarterback or a star player's control.
That's what this graphic
Can I add a line?
says.
Joe Burrow
Can I add a line to
killed
this?
the first year. He had receivers.
Yeah,
with
these
no
are playoffs.
line.
This is playoffs.
It's
They didn't make the
playoffs.
playoffs. They won 4 games.
I can add a line though. Fucking Joe Burrow line went to a white party, got hurt after going to it. Kirk Cousins didn't go to a white party, had a fire in his back.
Ruben throws great part.
Yeah.
There's no reason to bring that up.
Stretching his calf instead of going to a white party.
Oh, you don't think they were pulling muscles at that place? You are out of your damn mind. He survived that part. He got stronger at
I'm
that
sure
part.
they were wrestling there.
Kirk was reading the Bible behind the fire. What was Kirk doing? Kirk was reading the Bible
By the fire, yeah.
Training his brain.
with his boy.
Yeah, it ain't how you start, how you finish, I guess.
TB12 brought Guerrero, and Guerrero was on his knees the whole night massaging people's calves. So I wouldn't be worried
I
about
don't know if
that.
Guerrero wanted this, but I did see Joe Burrow looking super cool.
He did.
And that is why he is.
The sidebar, but this Michael Rubin white party thing, one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it's some eyes wide shut type stuff. If I was invited, I wouldn't have went. I mean, there's too many celebrities in the same place. They're all wearing white. It's a costume party situation. Random people there. I'm not going to say that they were all drinking, the blood of lambs or something in there. And I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying that they did that, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some real weird sorcery taking place at that party.
Not only a killer on the field, off the field, seemingly a dog.
Yeah.
He brought back the part undercut, which I had as a child, and my calyx kind of forced me to potentially do if I grow my hair out. So I appreciate everything. This graphic, I don't know what Clutch Points was trying to say. Hey, you need to hold this up. You need to take this up at Clutch Points.
Aim your weapon.
We are saying we are fans of the way this guy performs. So let's also potentially say, hey, Kirk, good job in those big games.
Good work, Kirk.
Good work in those big games.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see. So this is just playoffs. Now, they don't say the number of games. So I want to see. We're going to do an experiment. We're going to take a look at Kirk Cousins' playoff games, see how many there are, first of all. And then we're going to go and look at the actual moments where he threw picks or whatever, or with a game script. And we're going to do a deep dive, ladies and gentlemen, me and you. All right, so this is the first one. So NFC wildcard game, 35-18, Packers and Redskins. So the game is at halftime. It is 18-17. Green Bay scores, or no, it's 17-11. Then Washington scores on the first possession out of the half. So Washington's up 18-17. After that, Washington goes punt, downs to lose this game by quite a bit. So, this is one of those things where if you look at the box score, Cousins, and obviously they were down, a lot. They're at the end there. Cousins threw the ball 46 times, 329 yards, touchdown, no picks. Oh, okay. All right as far as the stats go. But again, if you look at the game log, the second half offensive performance here, and what's happening on the downs, on the downs, we got fourth and 10, he's sacked. 3rd and 10, incompletion. The other one, 3rd and 4th, a penalty, and then 3rd and 9. Then he's sacked again. So back-to-back 4th downs, they down with him not even throwing the ball, him just getting sacked. And then the last one, he doesn't convert either. So he's sacked on 3rd and 8. So 3 of their 4 possessions in the second half end with Kirk Cousins being sacked pretty much. So this is an example of decent stat line, but not exactly showing up in the big moments. All right, this is another one. We have a loss 27-10 against the Niners. Cousins 21 of 29 for 172, touchdown, interception. Not great. Stat line not very good. Let's see. Let's look at the game script real quick. We got at half, it is 14-10 Minnesota, and they never score again. Kirk opens with a pick, then a punt, then a punt, then a punt, then a downs, then a downs. So these two games kind of show that in 2 second halves, Kirk has 1 touchdown, or his team has 1 touchdown, and the rest are him either punting or turning the ball over on downs. That's just 2 games. He's 1-4. The one win was in front of my face in the Superdome against the Saints in overtime. But this kind of illustrates what we're talking about. If you show the statistics, fine. But if you show he's gone through in two of the second halves, his team has scored once, that tells a story as well.
I think that's what people are saying.
All boats rise tides.
Now, more games, more wins, more success.
For sure.
Than this one if we're going to go for sample sizes and everything like that.
The last stat on here is startling, though. Kirk is getting absolutely no help from his defense.
I would say the last stat is crazy. I would say on here, the stat that matters the least, let me know what you think it is. I'll give you 5 seconds. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll probably get this because it's, makes a lot of sense, and I'll explain it. But what stat on here do you think matters the least? I would say the yards per game passing matters the least, because that is completely, if you are losing, which we know Kirk has lost more of his playoff games than Joe Burrow, so we could then assume that he is he's behind, so he's being forced to pass more, he's being forced to push the ball faster. As you can, we just showed it. He went for it on fourth down how many times? The Bengals don't do that when they're winning. That's the one that I think matters the least. Because if you are winning in these playoff games, there's no need to have a ton of passing yards at all. So that's the one on here where that's the most this is strictly for comparison startling purposes. I would say the touchdowns matter. Turnovers per game matters. Rating matters. And then obviously the defensive stuff is startling for sure.
It's like Rodgers. People shit on Rodgers all the time and say he's a choker in the playoffs. He can't. And then you go look and it's like the Packers are scoring 35 points a game and giving up 52 points a game.
What was his QBR? 136.3. This guy can't fucking win. This guy stinks. It is such a team sport, though, and we are part of the problem.
True.
Yeah.
Sports
for sure.
media, kind of social media, just humans' natural instinct as a whole is a part of the problem, and just making it superstar, superstar. This is your legacy. How 52 other dudes decide to show up and perform. At the same time, you have to show up and perform. Now, there is something, too. Like Jordan, Michael.
Sure.
Yeah.
They were going to play good in those big moments.
They were.
Or else.
You know why? Because Jordan would smack him in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's more situational with quarterbacks. And I think what we just talked about, if you're a Vikings fan and you're watching those games we just showed, and you're watching those second halves where Cousins is turning the ball over on downs, the team is being forced to punt, he's taking those sacks. Joe Burrow's not doing that. Joe Burrow in the second half, he's performing. His teams are scoring. His team is moving the ball. Is it all Cousins' fault? No. We looked at we looked at 2 games. We looked at some play-by-plays. We don't know. We didn't watch the games. We didn't go back that far. But you can see why people would be like, this guy doesn't have it. We're in these playoff games, and in the second half, game's close, he's completely wilting. We saw the game against the Packers. The Packers were losing at halftime, or after that first possession outside of the half. They're down 18-17. And what happens? The Vikings do not score again, and Rodgers scores 18 points. That's the difference. Was Rodgers that much better than Cousins that game? I don't know. We had to look at the stats. But I can tell you he was way better in the second half. I can tell you he was way better when it mattered. He was down, and he said, all right, here we go. Now, yes, the defense certainly did its part by not allowing the Vikings to score, but still, that's a difference. That's unquantifiable, but it is certainly a difference.
If they didn't, like Tom Brady's teammates, they're going to play better because Tom Brady is going to give a speech before the game that says, your families are remembered. Your life is remembered.
What?
There's that element, too, that, I think this guy certainly has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Certainly has.
That is also unquantifiable, but it is an element as well. Is Cousins can, to no fault of his own, he can go out there and do his job, and he can do it really well. But if he's not doing exactly what Pat's talking about, I'm not saying he's not, but if he's not doing that, if he's not being the leader, if he's not being the table setter that a Tom Brady is or whoever, that part also goes into it. And that part, that culture, that winning, however you want to say it, that stuff does matter for sure.
That Kirk maybe, we don't know. We're not
we know.
Pat! Quarterback. Did you watch quarterback?
Yeah, I watch quarterback.
Okay.
He's a competitor.
Yeah,
He's a competitor.
he is.
He's got that fucking thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's also why quarterbacks are making, why Kirk's making $45 million a year. 'Cause he's not playing that bad, and then they get beat, and everyone's like, this guy fucking sucks. He's just got to take all the bullets.
hey, that's part of the job.
Exactly.
that's quarterback.
Exactly.
But Kirk, every contract Kirk had have been guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
So he's
Oh,
got
sure.
paid
He's done it
really
right.
good.
Oh, that's my point.
Hey, that nerd is a great
businessman.
Yes, he is.
He's a great businessman.
Yeah, his agent.
Also, great conversation. I mean, good handshake.
Good dude.
Good convo. He knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty good singer.
Was Millie Joe and
Not bad.
Bobby Jack there?
I'm about sick of you.
Yeah,
These body gurus, okay? Don't be making fun of them because
Does
they're
he
55, 60 years
Did he
old.
travel with him?
they're good.
This is one of those interesting conversations. I think we've been having like one of these a week where we go on these kind of longer tangents. That isn't a lot of the times we're doing these videos and I'm out here telling you like this. I think this is right. I think this is wrong. This is one of those ones where it is just the nature of the beast. You can pick any stat apart. You can pick any moment apart. Any player can be good. Any player can be bad. I think it's interesting in the comments, honestly. Whenever I post a video in the comments and someone will come on and say, I'm just going to make something up, but they'll be like, I think Desmond Ridder is the second best quarterback in the NFC. And I'm thinking in my head, like, how could you possibly even get to that destination? Like, how could you possibly even come close to thinking that, much less truly believing it? But if you look at something hard enough, if you break it down hard enough, if you have the certain tinted glasses on when you're seeing it, any stat, any player, any argument can make sense. Every team right now, we're filming this on August 4th. Every team right now, their fan base, at least one person in their fan base is saying our team can win the Super Bowl or we can make the Super Bowl. It's just the nature of the beast. Every single player, I can't tell you, if I had $1 for every comment of someone saying Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the NFC, or in the NFC South, and they've never seen him throw a pass. They've never seen him throw a pass in the NFL, but they're convinced that he's the best quarterback in the NFC. It's wild, man. Sports are crazy when you try and look at it like this. But that's kind of what makes it fun. It kind of makes it fun that every team has hope. Every player has hope. Every player has a fan. As much as we rag on Dak Prescott, there's probably hundreds and thousands of people that have his jersey in their closet. As much as we rag on Kirk Cousins, I guarantee you there's a whole lot of Kirk Cousins jerseys and fans in Minnesota. As much as there are haters, there are fans. Any Kyler Murray, we rag on Kyler Murray all the time. How many Kyler Murray jerseys are there in Arizona? Tons. That's what makes sports fan. They don't have to be everyone's guy. But if they're your guy, then you see them differently. Sports really is kind of just a soap opera. It's like Game of Thrones, where you can watch an episode of Game of Thrones and you can say, here's why I think Littlefinger is actually a good guy. Here's why I think Jon Snow is actually a bad guy. And then someone else can say, here's why I think Jon Snow is the ultimate hero. And both arguments can make sense. Sports, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, all we're watching is a live, real action soap opera. So enjoy it. Don't take it too seriously. Don't get too worked up over it. Enjoy the games. Have fun watching it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have fun watching this channel. And I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you in the next one.